My name is Maren, and I'm going to do a real short yoga practice for spinal care. We're going to mostly avoid chaturanga and planks for those with lower back problems especially. So to start off with, just going to come to the front of our mat, getting ready to open up our shoulders, and standing in mountain with the tailbone especially tucked and the spine as long as it can be. Engaging the quads, opening the shoulders and the hands. And a lot of the time, it's really helpful to have a mirror nearby and to turn sideways and look at the neutrality of our spine in the mirror wherever possible. So we'll be doing that throughout. To start out with, we're going to always double check the tailbone tuck and tuck in the abs to support that spine. And as we inhale, gazing up till the lungs are filled, and exhale, coming back down to heart center. Doing this a few times. Exhaling back to heart center. I'm going to do everything only once or twice, but if you need a longer practice, it's definitely a good idea to just put the video on pause and go over things a few more times before you move on. Inhaling one more time up. And as we exhale, we're going to swan dive, hinging in the hips, at the hips like normal. Checking ourselves in the mirror to make sure that the spine stays neutral. And at the point at which we realize we can't keep the spine neutral anymore, we're going to compromise the straightness of the legs and bend those knees and bring the trunk down to rest on the thighs. Exhaling here, but never folding all the way over, just letting the neck gently drop. Inhaling, straightening the legs slightly, never changing the position of the spine. And exhaling back down. Inhaling up, slowly straightening the legs and then hinging from the hips. Going as slow as is necessary to be as gentle as we need to be on that spine. And keeping the tailbone tucked as we exhale down, come back to heart center. One more time with this, inhaling up, gazing up, tailbone is tucked, and swan diving down, spine remaining in the same position throughout, until we come down to rest on the thighs, readjusting where we see that we're a little bit off, and then inhaling up, and exhaling back down. We're going to walk as we inhale to a down dog without going through the full cycle of the sun salutation, and lengthening that spine, checking it out in the mirror, and always making sure to bend the knees rather than the back. Tucking up the abs, pointing the tailbone straight out behind us, and getting a little deeper into that shoulders as long as the spine can do that without compromising its neutrality. And we're going to inhale, walk those feet closer, keeping the spine in that position, back onto our thighs. Inhale up to a chair, checking the spine. Exhale, resting back on those legs. Inhaling all the way up this time. Spine stays neutral, tailbone is ready to support the back. Abs are tucking in. And exhaling back to heart center. From here, we're going to do a similar thing, but come down to a squat. So retucking the tailbone, inhaling up, always tucking in the abs with the tailbone. And as we come down, exhaling, separating the feet, and going all the way down into a squat. So we're in garland pose, and I'll just turn to face the camera. Opening up the knees by pushing outward with those elbows while the knees are pressing in our hands together. and it might feel good to rock a little bit. The most important aspect of this in this situation is to keep that spine long and tall. So as we inhale, lengthening. As we exhale, maybe seeing if we can sink a little bit deeper into the thighs, a little bit deeper into the hips. Inhale, length. Exhale, sink. One more breath. And we're going to come down, hands on the ground, raising the hips without ever bending the spine. Walking the feet back to their middle line, sinking the hips back down to come up to chair without ever having changed the positioning of the spine. On the next exhale, we're going to come down just like we came up. And this time, letting the knees go back down on the floor for some table. So this is another great time to look in the mirror, see how our spine's doing as far as its curvature, keeping as neutral as possible. Hands under the shoulders, knees under the hips. And maybe do a little bit of cat-cow. Inhaling super gently if it feels good for your spine. Exhaling it out and tucking those abs up real high against your low back. Stretching it out, maybe rocking back a little bit to get the stretch further into your low back. As gently as you feel is good. Inhaling up. Exhaling down, tucking up. Inhale, bringing an arm forward, checking to see how the spine is doing with this. And if it feels good, also lifting the opposite leg. If this feels like it's putting pressure on our low back, then we need to tuck up those abs more and make sure the small of the back is not getting too curved and we're not putting any pressure on there. If we're supporting it well, we should be okay. But if there's still a problem with the spine at that point, drop that knee down and don't pressure it. Exhale the hand down. Next inhale, other hand. Making sure to tuck those abs up against the low back. And then checking how we feel about raising the opposite leg. Checking in the mirror, checking in how we feel. Making sure not to put any pressure on that low back. Exhale them both down. And we're going to go from here, tucking the toes underneath, and just gently raising the hips back up to down dog. Hopefully never compromising the spine during that whole time. Raising the hips high, tucking the abs against them to support that back, and lengthening the spine as much as possible with long breaths and outstretched arms. Always bending the knees to help us remember the length of the spine, having priority over the straightness of the legs. If that ever gets forgotten, time to re-bend the knees, straighten out that spine again, and then maybe try again. From here, we're just going to gently drop the knees back again, tucking up those abs, and dropping our hands down for a little bit of dolphin. Hands are going straight ahead, or we can clasp them. They're right under the elbows are right under the shoulders, and we're walking back onto the tops of our toes and tilting the hips up like a down dog, but a much steeper triangle. And once again, tucking those abs up right against the small of the back, Training ourselves to support the small of the back as much as possible. And breathing here. Now from here, see if you feel strong enough to lift yourself right up into kind of a down dog slash plank. We're going to tilt forward, never doing a full chaturanga. Just tilting forward and keeping the hips higher than the shoulders, which is of course not what we would normally do for a plank. Tucking up those abs again and coming down onto the forearms while our hips are still high and not putting any pressure on the low back. Then gently, knees down, let yourself worm out till you're long on the mat again and pull up to a cobra on your inhale. If this hurts your lower back, retuck here. Sit here. We're hopefully just using our upper back for this. If that's where your problems are, you may just want to be in child's pose right now. Using the glutes to help us keep the tailbone down against the mat. Remembering those abs. We look up. From here, next inhale, let's lift to hands and knees. And for those of us who weren't in child's pose, sliding back into child's pose with the knees wide, almost a half frog, half child's pose. And the arms stretched out and sinking into those hips with the spine long. Stay here and breathe for as long as you can, as long as feels good. We'll just stay here a few breaths, but more would be wonderful. As you sink deeper in, you may want to widen even a little bit more and turn this into a true frog. Getting the knees with the heels right parallel behind them. You may want to put a block under your trunk to support you, especially if you're sinking down and that's hurting your spine. Don't let yourself do that. Maybe put a block here or just stay sunk back in your child's pose frog combo. Let's inhale up. We're going to do a couple of standing balances. Bringing the feet right behind the hands till we're squatting with our back flat. And then inhaling to chair, staying here just for a minute, sinking back into those glutes, tucking the abs up to support that nice strong back, as injured as it may be. And then inhaling all the way up, keeping the tailbone tucked. We're going to do some tree. So traditionally, tree, we would hope to have our lifted leg going straight out on a flat plane. But with an injured back, that may not be very healthy. So what we're going to do is first pick the leg that we're going to balance on. I'm going to balance on my left leg. Square it down. Get ready to put all our weight in that. And walk the right foot out far enough so that we're not using it for weight bearing, just for balance a little bit. Then when we're feeling pretty steady, we are going, and I'm going to turn sideways, we are going to gently lift it up, maybe just starting here, or if you want to go higher, go higher. Don't press hard against your knee though, if you're here. If you're above or below the knee, which is where you should be, pressing those legs in to get together. The foot against the thigh or against the calf, and the calf pushing back. Now, the main thing to make sure we're doing in protection of our back during this is, once again, tucking that tailbone underneath us, tucking the abs in, and if that means that this leg doesn't want to go all the way out, because we're kind of bending this leg, that's fine. Just let it be wherever it wants to be. Your standing supporting leg is still going to be working really hard. You're picking a drishti and focusing on that and breathing slowly and keeping this tucked under so that the curvature of the lower back is not exaggerated at all, and supporting and pulling the pelvic floor up and the pelvis forward with our lower abs. Focus on your drishti, your focal point, and let all the other thoughts come out of your mind and flow away. If this is hurting your spine, come out of it. We don't want to hurt ourselves for the sake of pride. When you're ready, dropping down that right leg, whichever was the lifted leg, and shaking out the left, and doing the same on the other side. So putting all the weight in the right leg, extending the left just to use it as a little bit of a balance, but not weight bearing, and getting ready to tuck this tailbone underneath, tucking the abs in and up, and letting this leg come up to rest against the thigh or the calf, wherever feels good, and checking ourselves in the mirror to make sure that we are not letting this spine curve in so much that it's taking our weight rather than our abs and our glutes taking the weight for us. So if you're feeling steady and balanced, raise the arms, breathe up, and exhale down. Make sure that you've chosen a drishti that doesn't move. Retuck if you realize you've come loose. Maybe one more. And let that left leg down. Shake out the working leg. And as we finish here, we're just going to retuck once again. Inhale up, gaze up, exhale back to heart center. Namaste.